All right. I hope everyone is doing well today. I am going to also close the side panel so that your names will not be fully visible unless you choose to do so. And you can also, do whatever you feel like is needed for your own privacy. I am going to be sharing my screen for a portion of this. So my screen will be the Word document that comes up. So we are we're going to be talking today. Welcome, Megan. She's not in the room. There we go. We're going to be talking today about resources that are out there for some of our students and also just for the community in general. So this session doesn't have a full agenda. I have some things that I want to show you, but the document that I'm working from is a Word document. And at the end of the tutor talk, I am going to convert it into a PDF, and I will put my email in the chat so that if you would like to, sorry, that was my video. If you would like to email me and get a copy of the PDF, I will send a copy to you. This will go onto our YouTube page. Not a lot of people watch it, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. I think it is mostly for people within the agency. But I do want to just put that out there. We are going to put this up onto YouTube. So the reason why I wanted to do this is because sometimes, especially if we have tutors who are a little bit newer, they don't realize that Literacy Pittsburgh can also assist students with other services besides English instruction. So what I'm going to share with you is a document where it has some resources. We will look at some of the resources. We will look at some of the websites. And I also would like to show you the referral form for our student services department. So I'm actually going to start with that. Let me just share that document. So within Literacy Pittsburgh, we have not just ESL, but not just ABE. We don't just do the tutoring. And obviously, that is our main role. And that is also the main thing that our classes do and that our tutors do. However, we do also have people within our agency that can help with various other things. So I try to remind tutors, hey, if you have students who express that they need something else within our agency, they can help with other things. However, it's also good to kind of go through some of those things themselves, like go through some of those things so that you can see them. So if you have anybody in the agency whom you are tutoring who comes to you and they maybe say, oh, I've been looking for a new job lately. We do have a career advising department. We do have people who can help that. We have Drew here, and there's a QR code to scan. This is also a PDF that I can send out. And then we also have student services coordinators as well. So within Literacy Pittsburgh, we do have that ability to help in those ways. And any coordinator can put in a referral to student services or career services, or you can scan the QR code or the student can scan the QR code. There's many ways to get to that route. And along with that, we have other things that are just kind of out there that are good to know. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. Welcome to
Oops.
anybody who has joined. I do want to advise that this session is being recorded. So if you're new, just know that we are recording it. So I'm going to now share with you my little Word document so that you can see some of the things that we're going to be talking about. And then whenever we talk about these things, what I said to the people who were here right at 7 is I'm going to take this list and we're going to go through some of these things. And you don't have to participate. You can just listen. But if there's anything that you want to talk about, we're going to put everything on here. I will convert it to a PDF and email it to anybody who would like that information. So resources in the community and in general. Does anybody have anything that they have had a question about from students that they would like to bring up, or anything that has just come up in the past, or even just something that seems like it might be helpful to our student population? If anybody has anything that they want to start with, you can just unmute yourself and ask. There's not so many of us here that we need to, be concerned about hand raising or anything like that. So if you have a question, shout it out. And if not, I'm going to take that off of the document.
Over the last year, I've had lots of questions about Uniting for Ukraine, about immigration policies, about green cards, about work authorization, attorneys, whether attorneys are available to give them advice, that whole big category.
Yes. It's not surprising that we are getting those questions, and I will talk briefly on that for a second. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add before I launch into the immigration question in general?
Crystal,
I have,
go ahead.
I have a completely unrelated question.
Go ahead. We're gonna put it out
Okay.
there, and then we'll talk about it. So go ahead.
My student is eager to get his driver's license, and I believe he talked to somebody at Literacy Pittsburgh that provided him with the Pennsylvania study book.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a little unclear to me how that process works. And,
Okay.
Of course, I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I just got a learner's permit and borrowed Dad's car.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure how that would work for him.
Okay. I'll get into that one too. Henry, did you want to add any questions to our list before we launch into it?
Yes, I would like to add a question. The idea of using Khan Academy, if you have a new student and they get their first Khan Academy ID, how do they join the quote unquote Literacy Pittsburgh class so that their hours count, or their minutes, I
Okay.
guess, count?
So for that one, I'm gonna have to probably actually check with our tutoring specialist or our academic manager, because as far as how the time for self-directed study counts toward the hours of post-testing, we have an accounting for it within our essential ed program, which is a self-directed program. But I don't exactly know how they count it for Khan Academy. So that one, I might have to get back to you, and I will put that on the Word doc. And then when I convert it to a PDF, I will send it out to you. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
For the other ones, I'm going to start with the immigration, green cards, and attorney one, and say that is, in terms of resources, has become something that people are asking a lot about. It is a very, very valid question. It is very important. And we have a lot of students who are going through those needs. If any question pertaining to immigration comes up specifically, that is something where they will need a student services referral. So I'm going to provide some things that you can kind of help with here. In this case, immigration, green cards, policies, anything pertaining to being in the US and their status of legality is complicated and nuanced and a little bit uncertain. So you will need to do a referral process. As far as the immigration attorneys are concerned, it is very difficult to get an immigration attorney that is not going to charge. So some of them will do a free consultation. And we do have some relationships with some of the attorneys. However, there is currently a shortage of immigration attorneys given the demand. And I do have students in my area who are working with immigration attorneys. But that one is that is something where we really do need to be talking to professionals, and they can talk to Literacy Pittsburgh staff about how to get in touch with it. And we do have to do a referral for that. And again, I will share with you when this is over, or if you want to see it again, the QR codes for our student services department. And in Allegheny County, we work with Isaac. So you can tell your students that we can make a referral to Isaac. Isaac is the organization within Allegheny County that helps immigrants with various things. JFCS, which is a really, really important community partner of us. They do have a legal department, and they will also help with legal matters. But the immigration stuff in terms of resources is for sure we need to have a more nuanced discussion about it. That could probably be its own tutor talk. And I am sorry that I cannot, I wish I had the magic formula for that one. But there's so much out there that is needed, and that is one that is very much a needed resource, but it is also very specialized. If your students are coming to you with specific questions about needing an immigration attorney or anything pertaining to a green card or citizenship or residency or anything like that, and again, Literacy Pittsburgh, doesn't ask about those statuses of our students in general. We that isn't information that we require them to provide. But if they have those questions, we can help put them in touch with the right people, but they do need to contact us to get into that process. And we can give them immigration attorneys, names, etc., and help with that referral process. As far as the driver's license goes, so I would say student services can also help with that. And they can provide the information, and some of depending on the level of the student, some of the manuals are available in other languages. However, for studying the manual and for passing the test, that is something where they can do it. You can definitely do that one a little bit more on your own if you want. But it's also something where they might just want the help. So if your student got the manual from student services but wants more assistance, they can come back to us for that. I do know that you can, in some cases, use an international license for a certain period of time before you have to get a local license. So an international license is valid for a certain period of time.
Okay. I know the student has been in the United States over a year now.
Over a year. Yeah. Then that's probably why they're looking to get the local license. But the DMV, would you know what is their home language?
Hungarian.
I do not think they make the manual in Hungarian.
Well, he is
And they're-
fairly advanced.
Okay. Maybe I can talk to you offline about that specific student, and just
Okay.
to make sure we can get her pointed back in the right path.
Okay.
For the people who joined late, I am going to, at the end, reshare our QR codes for our student services department for people who would want them. But you can also just email your coordinator and ask for a referral. So one of the things that we are trying to get out there in the system is using the Carnegie Library system to help our student population. And honestly, for anybody. The funding for the library system, you know, it may be precarious. We don't know exactly how, you know, it's something that we want to protect, but we don't know, like, we need to use it. We need to use the library system, and they provide a lot of resources to the public. Even if you go to the library, even if you say, hey, I could use, you know, some resources on getting a driver's license, they also have them there. They really have a wealth of information around tax time. They have, and I know people don't use paper forms as much, but they have tax information. They have summer programming. They have a lot that's out there. But these are some of the things that we like to let students know about our library system. And this is information that has come from student services. Oh, please make the slide larger. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I didn't do a slide. It's just a Word doc because I'm going to print it into a PDF later. All right, is that a little bit easier to see?
Yes.
Okay. So for English language learners, the library also does offer free apps that you can use with a library card. And if your student goes to the library, librarians are very, very friendly people. They will help them sign up for a library card. They can help them kind of learn how to use the system there and how to use the computers if they need help with that. But they have English language apps that will help them practice using English. So this is even an ELL resource outside of other paid services. So these would be services that would be used for free. Libraries always have events throughout the month. And depending on, and I can't boil this down to specific libraries. We know the downtown library runs them and various community ones do, but each specific one runs different types of programs because the library system does run, you know, throughout the area. But within the Carnegie Library system, they do also host conversation circles, and they can show up and practice the language. And it doesn't always even have to be English. It can be other languages. They also have book clubs that you do not have to register for, and you can just show up and do that. They can also provide after school events for children, and I'll talk about kids stuff in a little bit. Most of the libraries have study rooms that are available that can be reserved online. This isn't universal. Sometimes space is a little tight, but I know we have had students at Literacy Pittsburgh book a study room with a computer and use that for online classes. And the library is very good about allowing that. They want people to access these resources. It justifies their funding, and it also helps people who maybe can't get a quiet space at home, or maybe just need a study space or need reliable internet so that they can access online resources, whether it's classes or whatever. Some libraries, and this does depend on location, have computers that you can borrow. And that is not, again, every single instance. However, That is something that is also out there. Literacy Pittsburgh will also lend out Chromebooks for lessons to students who do not have them. But we do usually run a wait list. It's not always an immediate thing, but that is something where if your student needs to switch to online classes and they don't have an iPad or anything and they need to meet with you, but they can't meet in person anymore and they don't have a computer, talk to your coordinator about seeing how we can get them in touch with resources or putting them on the wait list for our computers. But the library does also have a limited supply of them as well. Libraries have a ton of community events. Sometimes they host job fairs. They'll host a lot of other things. And even in the summer, like they'll run like summer reading programs. And sometimes it's even like, cooking things or just like fun events. But sometimes they are things that are just a valuable asset to the community and don't just promote, fun stuff. Sometimes it is stuff that is, just something that you need in your day-to-day life. There's also, and I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of the Rad Pass program. There are certain ways where you can get either discounted memberships to museums or like some free visits or something like that. If it is cost prohibitive, to buy a ticket or to get a membership to a museum, they want to help you try to find ways to make those things accessible to people in the community. So that's something that they do want to help with. Again, we love our libraries, so we want to utilize those resources and we want to encourage students to use them as much as possible as well. Okay. I'm gonna stop the share for a second. And we can just go on to the website real quick. Does anybody have any questions while I am here? Does anybody have any questions before we get started on looking at the next thing?
I just got my student signed up for a library card last time we visited. How can he access the apps to learn English that you say that they have?
So I would say it's in the student's best interest. Do you guys meet at the library?
We usually meet online. We met at the library to do some extra studying.
Okay. And are they able to get to the library easily, or are they mostly accessing it online?
Mostly online.
Okay. So there is in that case, it's kind of one of the things where I think it's just easier to play around on the website. And here, let me see if I can find the exact link to it.
I would be interested to know if anyone has used any of these.
So I asked our student services division, our people who do that, and they recommend them and they do refer people to them. I believe people use them. I don't have the specific reviews on them. But so like Duolingo, for example, it's kind of like it's like a little bit of a game type app. If you are here, I'm trying to get to it. I'm trying to like talk and navigate through it.
Yeah, okay.
So let me pull this up. So unfortunately, that part of the website is not loading at the moment. Um, are you, did you guys see what I was just doing, or did I not share that properly?
We could not see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I think I should take a digital literacy class occasionally myself. So if you go into the website, which apparently it wasn't letting me share on the Carnegie, if you just go into their search bar and do Mango, it'll take you to like the language learning section.
Mango,
And
like the fruit.
Mango, yeah, and it's on
Okay.
their website, and I'll put that in here too.
I would agree that librarians are very helpful. I think you should ask a librarian for any of these questions.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
fabulous.
and they have a chat function. You can go on the library website and chat with a librarian.
Ah,
And
okay.
ask the librarian how to use that app or whatever.
Yeah, and if you call, I know some people don't like to call, but they're also extremely friendly to talk to. If you want like a more personal interaction. If your students can get there, it's a good idea to at least try to visit, to sit down and talk to them, because they can like sit down with you as well. There's so much out there. It's hard to put it all down there. I know for the language stuff, you go and find the Mango part, and they do have to have a library card. You do have to have a library card, but once you have a library card, it's not hard to put your information in. I wanted to talk just a little bit about kids stuff. So as far as kids resources go, if your student is in need of childcare and having trouble finding them, that is a student services question, because that, like many other things, is difficult to navigate. It can be hard to find. That might be something where like they need somebody to help through that process, with applications and finding resources and funding options and things like that. So if they need child care, talk to your coordinator, and that's when you would do the referral. If they're looking for some things to do that are inexpensive or free or even paid, but they're like looking for things to do in the area, Kidsburg is a great resource for various things for kids activities. And I'm gonna try to share the website just so you can take a look at it, and hopefully I do it correctly this time. So let's just take a look at that. And I mostly am putting this out there now because it is summer and kids are out of school. You will see a lot of children in the libraries. The libraries also have great kids programming, but Kidsburg has summer area events guide, the pools guide. Most of the Pittsburgh public pools are open for the summer. There are a couple that are still closed for construction. I do think they mostly have enough lifeguards to staff, so I think that most of them are open. But it'll have just ideas on things to do and places to take kids. And I personally look through this type of thing, like the events calendar and stuff like that, pretty frequently. So it's just a good thing to know. And then the Heinz History Center, I put this on there because I just learned today that if it isn't free yet for children, it is going to be free very soon. They got a big donation from the Kamen family, which is the same one that they gave a big donation to the Carnegie Science Center, and they renamed it. So they just gave a big donation to the Heinz History Center. Now kids can just go there for free, which is just good in general, because a kid's ticket is like $18 to $23 or something like that. Like it's not cheap. So in a time whenever it's nice to find resources to, save money on, it's not a bad idea. There are, and if your students think that their kids would benefit from summer free lunches, there are a ton of those all over the area. I am putting the link to here. And again, this will be when I convert this to a PDF, if you would like to have it, emailed to you. The food bank has a directory, but depending on what area you are in, there's actually more than what the food bank offers. In the North Hills, I'm more familiar with what's available in the North Hills, but I think North Hills Community Outreach has a free lunch program. I know Westview Hub, they usually run something. So there's a lot of different places within each area that aren't just through the food bank that kids can get free lunches over the summer. And that is also something that should be used. And a lot of the smaller communities, like here in the North Hills, Millvale has one, Etna has one, Westview has one. I think most of the communities do also have some sort of program within them that you can register for. It doesn't usually require a lot of documentation. So it's not the kind of situation where your student would need to go with like a lot of ID to register their kid. They should be able to sign them up pretty easily. Heather, I saw you go off mute. Do you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say I'm very involved with the Coriopolis Food Bank, and we have what they call a snack pack program.
Mhm.
And I believe that's being carried on through the summer so that the kids have some things to snack on during the day and during the week.
Great.
You might want to reach out to your local food bank or the Greater Pittsburgh Food Bank to see if there's
Yes.
one in your area.
Yes. And if anybody finds that they, you can ask me, and I can also, put people in touch with the more specialized localities that do it. But I'm just putting it out there that there are a lot of food resources for kids to have in the summer, because a lot of kids do rely on free and reduced lunches through the school year. So there are a lot of areas that try to have lunches, and I hadn't heard of a lot of snack programs, but that is also something that is really good to have, because it does help fill that need during the gap when there isn't school. Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
I did pull a list of free health clinics. There is also free dental clinics. I have one listed here. But if students, they can look at these themselves, but again, that is also something that Literacy Pittsburgh could help put them in touch with if they are looking for medical care and they do not have insurance. They can help with putting them in touch with those types of resources. And we don't need to necessarily go through all of their websites, but it is just good to know. Again, that's something out there that people can benefit from. I have put on here also, and this is something, I'll share these as well. Literacy Pittsburgh has a YouTube channel. So Henry, you had mentioned the Khan Academy. That is one resource which we'll talk about. I'll get back to you about that separately. There is the Khan Academy, which is an academic resource, but there's also a number of other hold on, let me pull it up. Oh, the Carnegie Library does also have a link to the summer meals program. I meant to mention that as well. Hold on, let me pull this up. Okay, so I lost our YouTube channel, so I'll go ahead and click on it again. But Literacy Pittsburgh has a YouTube channel where we have lessons that that can help tutors with resources to find things. And this is also where like past tutor talk. So like when this is recorded, this goes here. So like we record them and then we upload them onto here so that way if somebody else needs this information, they can take a look at it. We have stuff on math, we have stuff on digital. Here's another one specifically on the student services. This is a little bit it's a little bit outdated, but it's not that the information is irrelevant. It's just that maybe some of the names have changed. But there's a lot of various things that you can access on here. So that would be something that maybe tutors might be interested in. We do have like things about writing skills. We have things about GED prep. One that I send out to a lot of people is we have a little tutorial on how to use Zoom and how to use Google Meet. And that has it changes a little bit. Sometimes the websites do change. Like Google Meet will change and Zoom will change. So sometimes when they change their rules, we need to update. But for the most part, the information itself stays pretty consistent. And then there's also the Khan Academy. If you are interested in that, that is something that your students can learn outside the classroom. And Henry mentioned that there's also other resources on supplemental learning. And what was the one I was looking for?
Hey, Crystal.
Yeah.
This is Henry. I would be interested in the video on Google Meet.
Oh, sure.
I met another tutor and she is using Google Meet instead of Zoom. And I would appreciate, can you email that to me? Do you know my
Yes.
email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Henry, Google Meet.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people are switching over to Google Meet because if you don't have a paid YouTube or not YouTube, a paid Zoom account, it times out at 40 minutes. And that is annoying. Because then you have to like restart. But at Google Meet, if you both have Gmail addresses, they, as far as I know, and they haven't changed it, it doesn't time out like the other one does. So these are Literacy Pittsburgh resources, but if your students are interested in something like this, we also have digital literacy courses, just something that we have to help students and tutors. So if you were interested in, and a few of these have already started, but they have this is something like ongoing you could look at because it'll have something like internet basics. There is Google certificate, and that one has already started as well. But it's just a good thing to know that these are out there because I think that sometimes I know it's hard for me to capture, okay, who needs what? So if I know that somebody's looking for something, I can send it to them, but it's not easy to remember that all of this stuff is out there. So I'm just kind of putting it in the back of your head that if you are interested in the digital literacy stuff, we have that. In Beaver, we do have classes in Beaver County as well. So again, I'm just kind of putting that out there. for right now, they're usually a little bit more limited, and this one is an older one, but they do exist. So that is also something that is out there. Before I go on to the next one, does anybody have any other questions? Because then we're heading at 40 minutes, and I try, in the interest of, you know, keeping things concise but doable. I was going to hit up a few more websites just for general things out there, take a few questions, and then show a few. We have like a lesson resource bank. But how about I stop for questions now? Does anybody have anything else that they want to ask a question about before we move on? Okay. So there are, and I just have this listed as miscellaneous. And if people have other things that they are needing, or that they think their student might need, or just like are curious about, ask, and I will add it to the list before I send it out. But we have, so this organization is for LGBTQ resources. So if someone wants help within that community, you know, that is a resource that we have locally for that. And again, this is also kind of tip of the iceberg. We have, there's really so much out there that I just pulled from a few things that I think might be relevant. But if other things come up, or if there's other questions, please let me know. And, you know, student services can help, and I can also help point you in the right direction. And the one that is here is Casa San Jose. And Casa San Jose is very important, has become very important recently. They do have, and you can let us know if you are concerned, if a student might be at risk of deportation. They can specifically offer help to that. They have done all of our Know Your Rights trainings. And so they are very well connected, and they do primarily work with the Latino community, but they also are interested in providing that information and help in general to the community. They're a very strong community partner of us, just like JFCS is. JFCS provides a lot of resources to the community. They do everything from art therapy to legal help. I don't know why I didn't put them on the list, actually, because we work with them so much. But they do, and I'll put their website on there as well. They do, they have a legal department that does also assist people. And they're just all over the area and extremely well informed. And we rely on our community partners, because for Literacy Pittsburgh, our primary thing we do is education. And that is something that, you know, we want to help people with. Obviously, that's why we're here. But we can't do everything and be everything to everybody. And that is why we rely so much on these other community partners, because they are so helpful in so many other ways. And all nonprofits are struggling a little bit right now. So if you aren't hearing back right away, Literacy Pittsburgh staff will be good about getting in touch with the student. But if you know, JFCS is backlogged or whatever on help, let somebody know, and we can, you know, everybody is trying to help everybody. You know, we're all trying to like work together on it. So we will get to them. There are some delays on some things right now, and I'll just be honest about that. This lesson bank is just something that I like to share, because sometimes people are looking for let me find it, are looking for additional lessons when they're tutoring. And it's when you can go on the internet and you can find tons and tons and tons of things. But this is a good one because it has just a ton of stuff out there. So if you look in the lesson banks, and you can submit a lesson, but they have them in a lot of different categories. So you can pick the formats, you can do a search, you can pick a subject. If you see they have ELL here, they have family lit, they have health literacy, they have math. Like there's just a lot on it. And we have great lesson plans in the textbooks in a lot of cases, but sometimes you just are looking for something different. You're looking for you know, a new idea. And this is just the you know, this one is just one that I think is helpful to have out there. So there's this, and then I'm sorry I keep clicking back and forth. It's because when I'm on the Word document, the share doesn't follow me. So I have to go with other things. Like I have to click out and then click back in. But this is something where, and if you're looking for additional resources, you can find, you can just ask your coordinator if you're having trouble finding them. But some of the things that we have out there are good, self-directed study and otherwise. So is there anything that you guys would like to see added to the list before I print it? And when I say print, I mean turn into a PDF and email, or anything like that. I know I have, Henry, I'm going to send you the tutorial on how to use Google Meet. And Heather, I have your note about the driver's license, but if there's anything specifically that you guys are looking for, otherwise you can let me know. And I'll make sure if I don't know the answer to it, that I will find the answer to it. The immigration one, email me, offline, talk to me about it, because that one again is just much more nuanced and complicated. And if you can see here, my email is just cgilroy, GILROY @literacypittsburgh.org. And then you can get in touch with me that way. I'm going to actually stop the recording now.